honestly speaking, this is your leadership. I get that you hate the orange man. I get that you wake up every day and say 15 curses, hope for the worst for him. But you know what? January 2029, he's gone forever. And you have to live with the consequences of the actions today. How will we pay back a $50 trillion national debt if we hand away one of the fastest growing and most valuable industries in the history of the world to our economic competitors? How will we? How will the dollars in your pocket be worth anything if we throw that away? When you criminalize an entire generation of entrepreneurs and engineers and scientists, you push them all to Europe, to China, to the Middle East, who's going to be there to build the next generation of America? What's your plan? Honestly speaking, just print your way out of it, regulate your way out of it, eat the rich, tax the billionaires, take all their money? Great, you got $5 trillion. 10% of what you need. What's next? Who's the next group you're going to go after and kill? What's the next company you're going to take?
Hey, what's going on, Bull Runners? Welcome back to the channel. Ryan Huggins here, aka Win with Ryan. Imagine waking up to $20 billion in crypto dreams vanished overnight. Whales shorting billions just hours before Trump's 100% China tariffs hit like a sledgehammer, dragging Bitcoin from its throne, liquidating longs in a frenzy that makes the FTX crash look like just a hiccup. Regulators circling exchanges like vultures. Crypto.com CEO is demanding probes into who rigged the game. And right now, Wall Street's giant finally cracks the door open. Morgan Stanley is unlocking $1.3 trillion in client cash to flood into Bitcoin and others without barriers. Shadowy forces in DC are clawing to bury this Clarity Act, which is the one bill that could finally draw a line in the sand for fair rules in crypto. But here's the whisper that you need to hear before it's too late. This chaos, it's your signal. The purge before the pivot. Institutions are piling in. Grab your edge now or watch from the sidelines as the next wave rewrites the rules. Stick with me for the next few minutes. We've got some breakdowns for you, why it matters, and your playbook to turn this storm into your game. We'll head over to X, find out all the breaking news in crypto world today. We'll find out more about Crypto.com CEO calling for a probe into these exchange liquidations. We'll head over to TradingView. We're going to be looking for important areas of support and resistance that you need to know about. We're also going to be looking at our long-term and short-term momentum waves, and so much more in today's video. So if you're like most people where you don't have the opportunity to spend hours a day doing crypto research, well, that's what we do for you on this channel every single day. So make sure you subscribe right now. And if you are still feeling bullish about this current bull run, let us know by commenting 777 down below.
Do you love crypto, but are you worried about taxes shrinking your retirement nest egg? Here's the deal. Trading and selling crypto can trigger capital gains taxes, eating into your wealth. A crypto IRA fixes that. Per IRS publication 590B, traditional IRA gains like those from crypto aren't taxed until distributed. That's why we've partnered with iTrust Capital, a leading crypto IRA company in the USA, to sponsor today's video. And they offer institutional grade custody for retail clients that want to set up their crypto IRAs for retirement, leveraging top storage solutions like Fidelity, Wells Fargo, and Coinbase Prime to keep your assets secure. To get started, simply click the link in the description of this video, sign up for free, and fund your account with cash. They also offer 401k rollovers or crypto transfers, and you can trade 24/7 with just 1% transaction fees and no maintenance costs. As always, I'm not a CPA or financial advisor, so consult one for tax advice, and we do earn a commission if you sign up using our link below to fund your crypto IRA account, but that helps support value-based videos like this. And iTrust Capital already has over 200,000 crypto IRA accounts and over $14 billion in transactions, proving they're trusted by smart investors just like you. So click the link below, get started now by funding your account today, and let's create generational wealth together.
First up, checking in on the overall health of the crypto market today, $3.67 trillion total market cap. We're down another 1.39%, and we've had an additional $270 billion worth of trading volume in the last 24 hours. Fear and Greed Index continues to drop 31 out of 100 today. Altcoin Season Index continues to drop 32 out of 100 today. Bitcoin dominance staying the same as yesterday at 59.9%. As we saw in the intro of this video, Charles Hoskinson is going absolutely nuts. He's trying to help everyone understand what the Clarity Act is and what's actually going on. And if you're not paying attention, we covered this in depth the last 2 days, but the Democrats in Congress are actually trying to stop and rewrite the Clarity Act altogether. This was the bill that was actually going to finally get crypto mainstream with real regulation, real rules set to move forward. But unfortunately, Pocahontas and the rest of the Democrats have stepped in. Let's take a listen to the beginning of this video.
I don't understand you people on the left. I really don't. You're so thoroughly propagandized. What do you stand for? Honestly speaking, what do you stand for? You say you stand for democracy, and you don't get to pick your leaders. You stand for truth and transparency and an objective reality, and you're the party of science and the party of intellectualism. And yet you can't even admit when your leaders have dementia and cancer and they're deeply compromised. You say you stand for the rule of law and no one's above the law, but then you're all totally comfortable when Hunter Biden gets a blanket pardon and we just have to move on. All the garbage with the Clinton initiative and this other stuff. You say you stand for equality and equity and combating systemic racism. And when we invent a money system that can end that for everyone everywhere, you want to go and destroy it, burn it to the ground, offshore it. Doesn't hurt white people like me who are rich. We can go offshore. Hurts the minorities in Chicago who can't. What do you stand for? Honestly speaking, this is your leadership.
Over on X today, also I posted, it feels like the extreme liquidation yesterday is to get you to beg for crushing legislation. It's really strange how the timing of this goes into place as we see Democrats propose restricted list for DeFi protocols, sparking the outcry. And this is for the rewrite of that late legislation. So they got everyone riled up, freaking out. Oh my gosh, everyone got liquidated. Stop these bad exchanges from stealing from me, right? Rah, 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 we're fighting against them. At the same time, the Democrats are trying to rewrite this agreement that was already originally agreed upon. And what's really interesting, if you just take the wick away, like obviously the wick, it was absolutely crazy. If you are trading with leverage, you got wiped out yesterday. I mean, I think literally everyone trading on 2x leverage, 1.5x leverage, everyone I know that was in an open trade got liquidated yesterday. No matter how much money was in their account, it went down just the right amount to liquidate every single person. But if you exclude the wick to the downside, we're trading at $2.33. And what's really crazy, when we take a look at the fair value gap that we were talking about, minus the crazy ass wick to the downside, there is one more fair value gap for a bodied close that hasn't filled here at $2.24. And we've been talking about this one for a long time. Personally, I thought that this was never going to happen. But as I always tell everyone on the channel when we talk, fair value gaps get filled. I mean, in fact, if we take a look at this holy freaking moly, right? Look at this fair value gap on the daily down here at $1.17, literally got filled. It reached all. Now there is even more scary news because there's fair value gaps at 97, 86, 74, 76, all the way down to 51 cents. There's a fair value gap on the daily traditional candle style here. But look at this, filled, 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 filled. These were filled a long time ago. So if you were trading on leverage down here, that's very dangerous. What you could do is you could use these levels down here to set limit orders. What if I set a limit order to buy $1,000 worth of XRP at $1.03, right? And it fills that liquidity and then it starts moving back up. People that had buy orders set at $1.17, $1.18 got filled and then already made all of this gains back to the upside. But anyway, going back to closed body candles here, if we just eliminate the wick to the downside, if we're coming back to these $2.23 levels as a support, that's totally fine. If we look to the upside now, we have a fair value gap to fill back to 277. We have a fair value gap here at 293. We have a fair value gap that got touched but not completely filled here at 319. And we have one that got touched and not fully filled up to $3.40. But there were also signs that there was going to be a downside risk. Number one, Jim Cramer did say buy crypto just recently. And as you know, there is an indicator called the inverse Cramer. You do the opposite of whatever he says. And sure enough, a couple of days later, the market absolutely tanked. Also, if you remember, there was this post by Mr. Poole. Everyone was hyped up. We thought we already got this massive pullback. Look at the chart here. We had this nice pump, which we've been experiencing crypto, this scare tactic panic to the downside. And then are we going to see the next move to the upside absolutely rip and go bonkers? Time will tell. But as we know, a lot of the Mr. Poole posts from the original actual real Mr. Poole have come to light. And this is our next move that we are waiting for. There's a lot of rumors going around that this was Binance's fault that actually made all of this happen. The last 24 hours have been turbulent. This is the CEO of Binance. Now, a lot of people think that CZ is still the CEO and runs the company. Well, remember, he got put in prison for fraud because that's kind of what Binance does, is fraud. It's been known for that. And now we have this crazy scenario that Binance and Wintermute were conspiring to potentially have this happen to the downside. But the CEO is trying to come out and say, it wasn't our fault. The last 24 hours have been turbulent for the crypto market. And I know many face challenges on our platform. I'm truly sorry to everyone who is impacted. Let's say price was starting to fall, which a lot of you experienced. I was on the phone actually with Crypto Dad, Mr. JR, and we were talking about the crypto charts. And then all of a sudden he goes, holy, and I was actually getting tires put on my truck. So I wasn't in front of the charts, but I was just talking to him about the charts and an indicator. And he goes, oh my gosh, Bitcoin just dropped to 113,000. And I was like, oh, dang, that's pretty serious because it was at 120. It's a $7,000 move, like over instant. And we were just like, wow, that's really crazy. And then I had to go pay my bill for my tires. And then I got back to the house and I looked at the charts. I immediately called him back. I said, holy crap, dude. Did you notice? He's like, no, I was on a walk with my family. What happened? $102,000 Bitcoin. It was a $20,000 drop in 10 minutes. XRP on some exchanges went from $2.50 down to 70 cents on some exchanges. So on that way down, it was moving so fast. What happened? Well, Binance shut off their whole entire system. You're not allowed to buy or sell right now. Coinbase shut off their entire system. So he went on to say, we don't make excuses. We listen closely, learn from what happened, and are committed to doing better. If you're still experiencing any unresolved issues, please reach out to our Binance support team. Every case will be handled with care and attention it deserves, and compensation will be provided where applicable. So, like I said, tons of people I know were involved in a leverage trade, could not exit that. Some people are calling for reparations. They need payment back because these guys absolutely scammed them, not just Binance, but all of the exchanges. He goes on to say, volatility is part of the market, and we encourage all users to stay informed and take care during these times. Thanks for sticking with us. By the way, this is not true. Volatility, you could not exit. You also, when it got to the bottom levels and you might have been on top of the charts ready to click the buy button, you couldn't buy because they closed down the system. So the only thing that I can say is if you were leveraged, I'm sorry. I feel your pain. Trust me, I'm on your team because I did experience. But for those of you that didn't leverage, not a big deal. Because like I said, if you were not leveraged out, this wick did not apply to you. Yeah, you might have gotten scared. The fact that it dropped severely. I mean, it actually got down to $1.17, and it was probably very scary if you opened up your app. Hopefully you were not anywhere near apps. You were touching grass, riding some waves or something at that time. But when we look at this, we're at $2.33. Not so severe if you're just in spot. And we can recover from these levels. And if Mr. Poole is from the future, like some people say, we have a bright future ahead of us because this nasty drop to the bottom, it has definitely rebounded. And to be a little more positive here, I know I'm a little heated up because it does piss me off that a lot of you guys were affected out there. You guys are geniuses for being in crypto. Just make sure and this is why we always talk about in not financial advice. That's why you have your long-term HODL bag, right? Everyone talks about that. And maybe you have a little 10% piece of the pie that you do leverage trading with, and hopefully you weren't erased. I mean, there's some people actually committing suicide because they lost their whole entire life's fortune, $30 million out the door, $900,000 out the door. Depending on who you are, that's a lot of money to everyone. Shoot, some of you guys might have lost $3,000, $5,000, $1,000 for some of you might have been the biggest hurt feeling for you ever. And I completely understand that. But massive, Bitcoin has created 36 millionaires or billionaires, 450 centimillionaires, that'd be over $100 million, and 240,000 millionaires, which is absolutely incredible, right? Too bad we don't have the time machine to go back, invest a shit ton of money into Bitcoin. So also, AIXBT put out a post. Binance API was throttling, captured 5% of actual liquidations during the crash. CoinGlass is estimating $300 to $400 billion. Remember, everyone's talking about it was a $20 billion liquidation according to CoinGlass, but realistically, That's because the API only passed through a certain amount of losses. Looks like there could potentially be 300, 400 billion. As I said, when I was on the phone with JR talking to him, the crypto dad from the channel, I personally thought it could have been $1 trillion worth of liquidations because of how severe that was. It literally liquidated every single person that had an open interest leverage trade. There might have been a few people that survived. Hopefully so. You must have had an extreme amount of open margin there, but very, very scary scenario for everyone else. Every liquidation heat map, leverage ratio, and risk metrics from Binance is off by 10 to 20x. Your position sizing models are using fantasy data from an exchange that controls 90% of perp open interest. And as we said, $1.3 million Morgan Stanley does remove restrictions on Bitcoin and crypto investments for all clients. Crazy that the day that happened, we had the severe crash to the bottom. Autism Capital also had a great post here. Seems like we're in the part of the game where everyone who lost their shirts with the crypto liquidation apocalypse is trying to rebuild their long positions with leverage again to make it all back. Like at the casino, that's what people do, right? You go and you run to the ATM and try to get more money. Well, they're continuing to get liquidated by whales, not allowing them to rebuild. And this is such a big deal. Crypto.com CEO is actually reaching out and lashing out on this too. There has been word on the street that Crypto.com themselves may have ended up being liquidated. In a Saturday post on X, Marzalek urged regulators to conduct a thorough review of fairness practices, asking whether trading platforms had slowed down mispriced assets or failed to maintain proper anti-manipulation and compliance controls during the crash. Early data from CoinGlass shows Hyperliquid led all exchanges in liquidations, recording $10 billion in wiped out position. It was followed by Bybit with $4.6 billion and Binance with $2.4 billion. Other major platforms like OKX, HTX, Gate saw smaller totals at 1.2 and 362 million and 264 million respectively. And as we take a look right now, in the last 24 hours, there's been an additional $588 million liquidated from the chart. In an announcement, Binance confirmed a price depeg incident involving Athena's USDE, BN Sol, and WBETH led to forced liquidations for some users. This exchange said that it's reviewing the affected accounts and appropriate compensation measures. CoinMamba says, since we're all talking about how exchange is functioning during yesterday's nuke, let me tell you how I got liquidated on Binance. I was running a pair trade, one long and one short position. As the price started nuking, my margin got low, and instead of partially liquidating my both positions, Binance decided to completely close my short position and keep my long position fully open, which then obviously got liquidated. And no, there wasn't an ADL. Was running similar positions on lighter and extended, which perfectly survived the crash. Not sure if I will continue to trade on Binance after this. Better to trade on decentralized exchanges with zero fees, plus I get points. They are trying to blame this on the tariff scenario. The recent market meltdown came after U.S. President Donald Trump announced plans to impose a 100% tariff on Chinese imports starting November 1st in response to China's new export restrictions on rare earth minerals. China, which supplies 70% of rare earth minerals, recently declared that any product containing more than 0.1% Chinese rare earths would require an export license. The measure is set to take effect December 1st. So checking back in with our XRP charts, a couple of things. We're going to go ahead and clear off everything, and we're going to change over to the Heikinashi candles. Now, like I said before, with Heikinashi candles, the last red candle here is going to be our support level before this massive push to the upside, which we experienced. So that is where we box off for our supply and demand zone, which we have already done. So that's why I'm really closely watching this $2.23 level as a support level on the daily charts. If we go to a smaller time frame, look at the 12-hour, we got the same scenario, boom, before the move to the upside. 4-hour, when you take a look at the 4-hour, there was an additional move to the upside right here, which you could use if we go ahead and box off the final red candle before the move to the upside. Let's take a look at where price got to on the closed body candles. Not quite there yet. So there is definitely a potential of coming back down. There are buyers in this region. That's why prices are continuing to melt. We can remember when price got to these levels before it took off, this is where buyers are in place. once this price started to take to the upside, people wished that they could have bought XRP at $2.25. Unfortunately, they couldn't. So people are waiting for that price to come back in. Unfortunately, this is manipulation pricing down here. We can see price got all the way into our old supply and demand zone, which was created all the way back here during that initial run up from 55 cents. November 16th of 2024 is when this little break in price started to occur. And that's where price got right back down to as far as the wick goes. Let's check in on our weekly spider lines chart. And when we take a look at this, we can see price also obviously of the supply and demand zone there, but this is also where one of the spider lines does come to, which is the $2.27, 225-ish range. Price did run through all the way below this spider line here, which was the $1.90 level. And that comes back from the candle from the week of January 15th, 2018 on our spider line. So let's go see if there is another candle above there that we might be seeing. All right, so here's what we have. The red candle, this was the top of that candle to the downside. That was from January 15th. The one above it was still green, still bullish. We used the wick of it. Let's check with the body of this Heikinashi candle and see what it gives us. We're going to go to the Ray chart here. We're going to go to the body of that candle that was just above that one. And then we're going to continue using the same pivot point, which was the high from 2021 of April. And then we'll see where that gets us. Now that we have that line drawn, let's go to where we're at right now. And holy freaking moly. Look at that, ladies and gentlemen. Price ran right to that spider line and literally bounced right off of there. So I did not have that spider line drawn, obviously, as you see. But now that that white line is drawn there, it wicked literally right into that spot. Let's go to traditional candles. And that is pretty freaking nuts there, ladies and gentlemen. So that brings me to a conclusion then. I need to also use the bodies of the green candles and also the downside wicks of the red candles then, which will give us a lot of different spots here. So let's go right here. So we just did this candle, which was from the week of January 8th. Now let's use this one right here, the one above it, the body of that candle, which is from the week of January 1st. And let's put a line right there. And now let's go to present day. So if price continues to drop from this level of $1.55, we have another support here to $1.29. So right now, price is coming down to this $2.28 weekly spider line, using that one as a support level, which it has been a support before. As far as bodies go, we do know we have the wick to the downside. But like I said, if you were not leverage trading, this wick doesn't matter to you unless you picked up lower level pricing. So we're going to use this as our support. Let's see if we can get a bounce here. One thing we were watching on our daily charts is our short-term momentum wave had actually gone bearish. We talked about that up here at October 3rd. We noticed that it bounced off one of our spider lines, and we were talking about how it was coming up to the top, getting very close to 100, needing to cycle reset to 0. And then right here, the next couple of days on the 7th, we could have noticed that it was red, which was right here when it broke below the spider line. There was a massive gap to fill from 294 all the way to 258, which it did do. Long-term momentum on the daily also flipped bearish. Let's look at weekly. Same scenario here. Our weekly short-term momentum still has not reset to 0. After this week ends, which will be in 21 hours and 46 minutes, we'll have to reevaluate it from there.
Hey, bull runners, check this out. If you want to learn how to find the next 10x, 50x, or even 100x altcoin in this video, listen to this. Our research team posted GOAT on the 13th of October of 2024 when it was right at a penny, and since then it rallied to over $1 and is currently still up over 5,000%. That's like turning $1,000 into over $50,000. Our team called Pendle at only a $16 million market cap, or 16 cents, back on February 18th of 2023, all the way back here, and since then it's rallied up over 4,000%. That's a 40x. It's like turning $1,000 into over $40,000. Our team also called BitTensor Tau September 15th, 2022, before the token was ever even launched. And since then, Tau has rallied over 2,000%. 1,000%. That's a 20x. Our team even said Solana is most likely to be one of the easiest trades next year, and this was posted December 29th, 2022, on the day that Solana bottomed out at around $8. And since then, Solana looks like it's up over 2,500%. That's a 25x. It's like turning $1,000 into over $25,000. And the bull run is just getting started. The list goes on and on and on. Our team called Sui, Ondo, and even some of the biggest cult-based meme coins like MOG back in July 20th of 2023, the day that MOG launched. So if you want to learn how our team is finding these altcoins before they explode, we just launched Altcoin Pro University, where our research team gives you real-time altcoin picks with explosive potential for this bull run, along with 100+ expert curated classes crafted by industry experts to discover these gems yourself, on top of our live weekly calls every single week for in-depth crypto market analysis and daily updates. And that's just a fraction of what we offer inside of Altcoin Pro University. Just go through the link in the description below, get in right now, watch the 26-minute video covering everything that Altcoin Pro University offers,